Millennials?
Oh great, opening with a crusty old dude shouting, "Millennials! How could this possibly go badly?" Wait a minute, that's Pastor Bob Larson, the vampire hunter. No, wait, the real exorcist, that's the one. Yeah, oh god, this guy is quite the individual. Watch the start of my last video on him for some context, but the TLDR is woo lad.
Never experienced role-playing games in the 80s, such as Dungeons and Dragons.
Wow, off to an amazing start there, Bob. Just top tier wat. That's just multiple wrongs bundled up into one incredibly stupid sentence. First, millennials, while a bit of a broad term, is generally considered to be people born between 1981 and 1996, so any millennial could have very easily been old enough to play in the 80s. And second, it doesn't matter when you play D&D, the fundamentals of what it is as an experience haven't really changed, so no matter when you started, you played a tabletop role-playing game. And millennials have been playing it for frickin' decades at this point. First sentence and already knee-deep in ignorance, aren't we, Bob? This is either going to be fun or torture. Maybe a bit of both. Let's find out.
Indulged in without the aid of computer-generated graphics.
People almost never play D&D with computer-generated graphics. Although what he actually means by computer-generated graphics is honestly completely beyond me. Not to pull him, but boomers rarely use technological terms correctly. The amount of times my mother has called my PlayStation a Nintendo. God, makes me just want to go on my Google iPad and send a strongly worded letter to Bill Gates, you know, the guy who invented the internet. He'll sort you all out.
Back then, I did many exorcisms on D&D players.
Oh, dude, you didn't tell me you were a level 5 cleric, because as we all know, that's what you need to be in order to use the exorcise spell. Although, you got to roll a D100 for that and, well, personally, I would just beat the demon out of them with it. Those things are pigging huge.
They so invested themselves in their characters.
D&D players invest themselves in characters that they might spend literal years developing and playing with. Well, that can't stand. Everybody knows investing in things that you enjoy is the path to Satan. You see, Satan is fun and wants everybody to have a good time. No, you need to do shit that you hate and be miserable so that you can go to heaven and continue to do shit that you hate and be miserable. But with God. Wait, I'm a little bit confused. What exactly is the downside to Satan again?
Such as the druid, the sorcerer, or the wizard.
Dude, way to undermine your knowledge. There's like 5 guys there. Even a D&D scrub like me knows there are a bunch more classes besides. You got paladins and barbarians, rangers and bards, and I could go on and on and on and on because there's like a ton of character types. And the fact that you can only name 3 shows your complete lack of even trying to know anything about the game, other than what you read in sensationalist news rags.
That they became demon-possessed because of their identification with that character.
And yet more wat. So apparently, if you can identify with a character, you can become demon-possessed. Yeah, wat. So why isn't literally everyone demon-possessed? We've all read books, or seen films, or heard stories that contain characters that we can identify with. But for some reason, no, it's only D&D characters that have this mystical ability to possess people, or something. Honestly, I don't even know. It's just so stupid that I'm struggling to stop my brain from evacuating my skull and going on tour with a travelling circus as Brian the Brain.
In today's gaming world of human interaction...
Oh god, yeah, I know, it's the worst. Griefers and trolls and squeakers and just, well, anyone really. It's the worst. That's why I do all of my online gaming with my headset immersed in a bucket of ice. Keeps all the hate from escaping. No, I'm kidding. I don't play online multiplayer games. No, seriously, I don't. Stop asking. I'm a lonely loser and I will be playing single player on my own, thank you very much.
With visual instant feedback on a computer monitor, it's even worse.
Are we still talking about D&D? Because, well, I'm sure there are some kinds of visualizers for D&D and there are definitely plenty of ways to play it online. It's still basically the same way that they've always been doing it. You just don't need to be in the same room anymore. Or do you actually mean, like, the video games? Because that's not the same thing. It's like not even remotely the same thing. In fact, it's so not the same thing that there hasn't really been a computer game that has come close to the kind of depth, complexity and flexibility that D&D affords. And if you knew anything about video games or D&D, you might actually know that.
There is no violent or immoral theme too evil for the gaming industry to exploit.
So, games are like literally every single other art form on the planet? Fucking A, that's great. I mean, you say exploit, I say depends on the game. Plenty of films exploit horrible stuff, but others explore it. And I would say games do that too. In fact, what you've done here is make the case that games are now grown up enough that no subject is off limits. I see that as absolutely a good thing. Cheers for your confidence.
One observer remarked that, and I quote,
A quote, and from some observer, not like an expert on video game bees, apparently, and certainly not a quote that will be taken out of context. And if neither of these situations are at play, still just the observations of a single person and thus could very well simply be wrong. See, this is why I'm not a fan of quotes for proving points other than this person said this thing. But whatever, go ahead.
The combination of low culture and high technology provides the instrument for libidinal extravaganzas devoid of any socially productive component.
Right, where to start? First off, this isn't even close to the whole quote. Like, yeah, and the only version of it I could find also has an ellipsis in the middle, which literally means that this much longer quote isn't even the full quote. And from what I understand, he's not really talking about video games. He may well think he is, but, well, it looks to me more like he's talking about a combination of interactive experiences and some kind of mechanical devices, specifically for sexual gratification. That's what libidity means in regards to the libido, aka sex drive. And for anyone who knows anything about video games, this is just not what video games are about. Is there sexual content in some games? No doubt, just like there is in every form of media. And due to the video game's nature as an interactive media, there's certainly going to be a case to say that they could provide greater sexual gratification than other pure media. But again, that's more about the interactive media and not the video game portion. And put simply, this just ain't even close to what video games are.
Close quote. Well put.
Don't pretend you understood a word of that, Bob. You probably think that Libidity is that great big f***off statue in New York City, although she is wearing that very clingy dress. So, you know, I definitely would. And I ain't talking about normal-sized version of her either. F*** no. I want to crush that giant puss. Goddamn, I am crude sometimes.
The American Academy of Pediatrics sums it up this way.
Oh, god damn it. Is this more quotes? You're going to send me out into the wild wastes of the internet to hunt down some obscure shit or try and figure out where it's from because you completely butchered it, or it's a stupid quote that's wrong on the face of it and has been debunked multiple times, so of course you like it, or something equally infuriating that I haven't even thought of yet. But an actual worthwhile quote that is going to make a good point? No, never.
Quote, playing violent video games is to an adolescent's violent behavior what smoking tobacco is to lung cancer, end of quote.
Well, we've got a double whammy. A, it's fucking nonsense on the face of it, and B, even better, I searched for the quote verbatim and cannot find it anywhere. So either you are using the secret source of infinite nonsense or you pulled that shit straight out of your ass. 'Cause you sure as shit won't be sharing your little citation, will you? So okay, let's take that quote on the face of it. Let's ignore the fact that the comparison doesn't actually make any sense and focus on the implication that violent games are harmful to young minds. First off, the sale of violent games to minors is restricted basically fucking everywhere to one degree or another. Problem solved. But even if there was a problem, it seems irrelevant because of one simple fact. The popularity today of video games in general, and violent ones certainly make up a decent portion of that, is incredible, and we would expect to see unprecedented numbers of violent crimes in relation to that popularity. But oh wait, violent crime has literally never been lower in the history of ever. Fuck. Now I know correlation doesn't equal causation, but, well, it's an interesting fact nonetheless.
And no game franchise is worse than Mortal Kombat.
Holy shit, did we just travel back to the 90s? Memories of when dipshits worked to ban video games by being as alarmist and stupid as possible. Good times. But, dude, you're kind of out of date on that one. No one has really cared about the violence of Mortal Kombat as of about the year 2000. Even the modern ones that actually have these crazy depictions of violence are just considered cartoonish and kind of dumb. Because the context is that these people just don't even stay dead 99% of the time. Sparring with each other by ripping out spines and crushing skulls. It's stupid and it's juvenile. And it's kind of f***ing awesome. But that's because I am stupid and juvenile. But if we couch it in that, the games didn't make me stupid and juvenile. It's because I am that way that I am drawn to that shit. And I believe that any violence correlation to people is probably a very, very similar story.
Mortal Kombat is the second best-selling fighting game franchise.
Wait, it is? Well, hot damn, he's actually right about something. And that's actually kind of cool. But now you see I have to come and piss all over your chips again and let you know that its popularity has very little to do with the violence. Yes, everyone knows that it's the punch punch kaboom goes head game, but no one actually cares. It's popular cause, get this right, it's a good game. It's a series with solid mechanics that are fun to play, and while the violence is definitely a selling point, there's also a reason why the number one game is the literal opposite to that. Smash Brothers is tonally the absolute reverse. In fact, if brutal violence was as important as you seem to think, it's weird that Smash Brothers even ranks. Cartoon Nintendo characters and friends bosh each other off the sides of the stage with big particle clouds and not a drop of claret in sight. Very strange, it's almost like you're full of shit or something.
Its media universe includes movies, a TV show, a stage show, comic books, and of course a game.
And of course, a game. A game. Dude, there's like 10 of them. And that's just the main series alone. There's more than one of them in the top 10 list. I know this might seem like misspeaking or just small potatoes, but I don't think it is. I think he just thinks it's Mortal Kombat and that's it. And it just shows how little he's actually bothered to look into this.
All with a satanic Leviathan dragon as the branded symbol.
Oh, fuck off. What the Christ is a satanic Leviathan? I mean, since you don't seem to know anything about the world outside your backyard, I'll have to tell you that's clearly an Eastern-inspired dragon, you insipid buffoon. Although maybe he knows and he's just saying that Eastern culture is satanic, but I think we have a word for people who say shit like that. Moron. Oh, and bigot, I guess. But, you know, potato, potato. And the Leviathan probably does not describe anything even resembling a dragon, but that's another story entirely.
The combat theme centers on martial artists with supernatural powers out to save the world by violent bloodshed.
Yeah, I thought so. I bet he has no idea that there's even newer games. That art is from like MK2, maybe 3, I'm not 100% sure, but that's gotta be a 26-year-old game at the very least. You know, I'm starting to feel old Bob here might just be a little bit out of touch. I mean, he hasn't even harped on about GTA 5 and how it's a murder simulator. I'm starting to think he really is a character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. At least the early series. Explains why he's stuck in the 90s. I'm going to start calling him Bojack.
Gruesome combat scenes, finished with moves known as fatalities, murdering one's opponent. This can include bashing an opponent into pieces, impaling them with a bed of spikes, or...
See, screw you, Bob, sitting there laughing. You can clearly see how ridiculous this all is. And you're still using screenies from like a million years ago, which is hilarious. Oh right, I get it. It's because if you didn't use very video gamey looking examples, then your target demographic just won't understand. Because for people like you and them, video games never got past chunky pixels and bleep bloop sound effects, right?
disposing of them in a pool of acid. Or the loser may choose to exit by suicide, depriving the winner from murdering his opposition.
Yeah, you get a lot of options. That's part of what makes it fun. And I find it hilarious that you haven't mentioned the friendship finisher, where you give them a present. Or the completely absurd babality, where you turn your opponent into an 18-year life-draining, dream-destroying, never-ending commitment. I mean a baby. Yeah, seriously, it turns them into a baby. But yeah, do you not think that this game might just have its tongue firmly planted in its cheek? Seems a bit odd for the literal work of the destroyer of all life, or whatever the Satan is.
The latest combat movie, released in April, is still packing theaters. It is also the most successful film to date on HBO Max.
HBO Max? Yeah, that thing that anybody gives a shit about. That's like being the most popular debunking subject on my channel. It's a dubious honour at best, and really, no one actually cares. And just so you know, you aren't even a dishonourable mention on that list, Bob. That's just how irrelevant you are.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstar Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the